What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show, Vintage and Stuff, with your host, Drew Heifetz. Today, I have Joe, aka Champagne Room with Sinatra, the most Boston IG name you can think of. This is actually a super epic episode. We had such an organic, great conversation. Didn't even get to all the notes that I had because the episode just flowed so well. Obviously, most of you guys know him from the Faded Whatnot Lives. That show is crushing it. We get into all that. It all started with the Faded actual physical show that they did last year, and there's another one coming up in September. We talk about that. We really go deep into his latest artist collaboration slash show for the upcoming Faded, which is Tanis Root. Tanis Root was responsible, it's a design partnership responsible for graphics like the heart-shaped box, lots of work with Shonen Knife, lots of work with Sonic Youth. Just a really cool design firm, and there's lots of talks about that, the history there, and all the art that they did for all these amazing t-shirts. We talk about his knowledge of vintage pricing, because he does see so much from all these lives. Just a really great show. Joe's a great guy from Rhode Island, and you definitely want to listen to the whole episode. As you guys know, this is the free 45-minute version. If you want the full 2-hour episode, all you got to do is jump on the Patreon and you get your 7-day free trial. So it is free. You don't even have to pay to get this full episode. Link is down below. Or if you want to subscribe or join, they call it, here on YouTube, just go click join, and you can also get the full episode right here on YouTube. Okay, guys? As always, thank you for supporting. Thank to all the Patreon members that are out there. You know, there's a few hundred on there now. I'm so stoked you guys are supporting. I'm so stoked you guys are finding so much value in the full 2-hour episodes. And I know a lot of you guys out there that are watching this 45-minute version are just waiting, hesitant to get on the Patreon or join here on the YouTube. What are you waiting for? It ends up after the free 7-day trial. So you get this episode for free anyway. After the free 7-day trial, it only costs you $1.25 an episode. That's like an hour and 15 minutes of entertainment for actually 2 hours of entertainment / education for $1.25. So click the link down below, get on the Patreon, or join here on YouTube. If not, enjoy the free version, the free 45-minute version. Other ways you can support this show is by shopping FSandFrankVintage.com. Link is down below. Get 30% off with code VTG and stuff. That is also down below in the show notes. Not going to bore you any longer. Enjoy this episode. I enjoyed recording it with Joe. Great conversation. Enjoy.
Vintage clothing by the rack, yeah. Just check out my Insta, how you gon' argue with that? Everything you see I manifest. I'm an architect, I think I'ma run it back. We got vintage clothing by the rack. Just check out my Insta, how you gon' argue with that? Everything you see I manifest. I'm an architect, I think I'll have some of that.
Joe, welcome to the show.
Drew, happy to be here. What's up, man?
Thank you. AKA Champagne Room with Sinatra, which is very much the most Rhode Island kind of name you could have as an Instagram handle.
Yeah, well, I'm from Boston, but it's definitely a New Englander. It is a New England name. I wanted something that wasn't Vintage Kid 52 or, I don't know.
Well, you did well. It's very Italian, very like, speakeasy mobster kind of vibes with your Instagram name there.
Well, the great part is it's often, there's a lot of authenticity behind it because I am 100% Italian, whatever the fuck that means anymore. But awesome. I mean, stumbled upon it, man. It was just something that came to me. And,
nice.
I'm happy it did.
Okay, so we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to jump into your work with Faded. I was at the first event, very cool event. We're going to jump into the Faded Lives that have been going off now for, it seems like at least like close to a year almost.
Forever, but yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about some work you're doing with artists, curating cool shows for the show. Want to talk about your work you do at your restaurant, because you also work and help run the family restaurant, correct?
That is co-owner of a restaurant, which is pretty
Co-owner.
surreal. Pretty
Yeah, that's
surreal.
wild.
Yeah.
But let's just start it off as we do about sort of how you came to be in this crazy world of vintage. And I know that you're not really the typical sort of thrifter. So a lot of people come into this game like, I started thrifting and or but I want to hear your story of how you came to be in the vintage world.
The classic origin story. We all have one. Mine's a little bit different for sure. So I grew up in like punk rock scene, hardcore scene music. So I did that for a long time. So the reason I still wear band tees is because I've been wearing them since I was like 10 years old, since the early MTV days of turning on and watching bands like, dare I say it now, like Limp Bizkit or that was like my early Blink-182 and stuff. So I started playing music, touring, and on the tours and stuff, once in a while you pick up like a shirt at a thrift store or something like that, to wear or whatever. But the real hardcore like obsession with it actually came 7 years ago when I walked into Metropolis Vintage. So I researched. I was with my friend Vinny researching Vinny, classic Italian fucking name too. I was researching vintage shops in the area in Manhattan, and this was when they were at their old store. So showed up, and dude, if you walk into a store like that, which I'm sure have you been there before?
Yeah, I was there actually on the trip that I came to see Faded.
Oh, rad. So if you walk in there, you're like, what the fuck, man? It's wall to wall from the ceiling to the floor with vintage or whatever. So that was such a new thing to me or whatever. And back then it was just band t-shirts. I didn't look at them as like, I didn't know anything about single stitching, tags, any of that stuff. So I'm walking around the store, and on the top shelf is a Cro-Mags Age of Coral shirt from 1986. So it's like a big hardcore band that I love. And I'm like, hey man, can I look at that shirt? And like, the dude's like, this kid has no idea what he's getting himself in for. So he grabs like the pole, takes it down. Right. And I'm like, how much is it? He looks at the tag, $950. I go, so my jaw like dropped. I'm like, okay, I'll look at it or whatever. And then I'm like, I didn't want to be like, dude, put that back on the shelf. Like, there's no way I can buy that right now. But that was like an eye-opening moment to me where vintage wasn't just like secondhand cheap clothes. It was like this crazy high-end market where people can actually like appreciate this stuff deeper. Because like, obviously you're going to price a shirt at $900 because there's not many of them, the historical value behind it, maybe the band, whatever. Cro-Mags is a New York band, so they're in New York City, so it's a little bit more, resonates a little bit more. So that was the eye-opener. And then it was eBay, Grailed, anything you could imagine. Way too much time of the day looking at this stuff. So that was my...
So you actually... Yeah, that's awesome. It's cool to hear, because a lot of times it goes the other way, and you see, in this business, we love to bash on people for like not knowing the bands on the shirts that they're wearing, but your intro into it was the opposite, where you actually wanted it for the band and then realized, holy shit, there's something more here to this than just me wanting to wear a band on a shirt.
And 6 years ago, this was like, there was no scene either. There was no like, I mean, you were around obviously because you've been in the business forever, and there was plenty of those people around, but it wasn't like this huge internet bubble bursting for the pandemic. So back then it was like the shirts were a lot cheaper, which was sick. Like I could get like a really cool shirt for like $30 at that time. And that was kind of a good amount of money,
Yeah, and you think too that going into that store back then, $900 shirt on the wall is kind of rare. Like there wasn't nearly as many $1,000 shirts as there are now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So many of the $1,000 shirts that we're buying today were like $100, $150. So
yeah. Yeah,
That was a
I'm
big
so
one.
excited. We'll definitely get into pricing at some point because that's one thing lately that's just been boiling, boiling my blood. But yeah, so I,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So,
so I did.
well, while we're on this subject of your origins, I want to jump
Yeah,
into it because you talk about your life in music, right?
yeah,
And you are a musician and you toured yourself, right? So at this
yeah.
time, like you're actually touring with your band.
Yep. So my band was more like we played really my personal music. We played like big gigs in Boston, like not huge gigs, but like not the Paradise, the Brighton Music Hall, which is like a 600 person cap, 700 person cap, excuse me, cap. The Middle East Club, which is like a legendary rock club. I used to play those all the time. My touring came from like small weekends and stuff with hardcore bands. So I would be so that a cool parallel to t-shirts. I would be selling the shirts, at the booths and stuff. And why people liked me and why bands like to take me out is because most merch guys, when next time you go to a show, Drew, like a small show, if you go to one,
Yeah.
you'll see some of the guys on their phones like this. Yeah, what do you want, man? Okay, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that type of attitude. I would be like the
Yeah.
smiling, handshaking. Thank you very much for like the whole sale. I've been right out of college. I hated it, and I'll never go back to corporate life. But I did sales for a minute, so like I know how to talk to people, and I know how to appreciate that these people, even if it's $20, are like investing in us. So they loved having me come out too. So like I was always kind of into t-shirts, even if they weren't like old t-shirts, pretty much my whole life. So
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when you go to a show. Obviously, everyone's been to a show, and you go, after the show, the merch booth gets fucking slammed, and you're lined
oh
up,
yeah,
and I guess these people just don't give a fuck because they're like, I'm going to sell shirts no matter what. I don't have to be nice, but I like this segue into sales because sales is a very important thing. If anybody watching this probably is in sales because most of us run our own businesses, but they don't think it that way. They think that like the product sells itself. Yes, some product sells itself, but then a lot of product doesn't sell itself. And sales
no,
is like so fucking important. And this weekend I was at an event and I was working with one of my guys, Sawyer, shout out Sawyer, and we're talking about sales and I started to think about it deeper. My dad is crazy. You met my dad.
we'll
Faded.
talk about him because I'm still inspired by a lot of things he said when I sat with you guys at that table and we talked.
Wow, that's great.
If you don't know who Drew's dad is, watch the 2 podcasts or 3 podcasts he has on. He is, I would call your dad the Godfather or the OG, or the first ever to do it. So it's pretty inspiring. And again, I'll thank you, Drew, for being here because it's cool to be able to rub shoulders with you guys because you're it, man, for sure.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
my dad was at this event and he had a different booth because he does his own thing. And we'll talk for sales for a minute, but it's interesting. My dad is so fucking good. Like their mentality is like a proactive attack sales mentality where they're like, we're going to get everybody here to come in our booth and we're going to talk to them. You know what I mean? We're not going to wait for someone to come in the booth and then talk to them. It's like, no, we're going to like actively get them in the booth. Then we're going to like engage them. And then we're going to make sure that they don't leave the booth without buying something.
Yeah.
And they look at it like a by any means necessary type thing. Like they're gonna make it fucking happen.
It's got mouths to feed,
it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas like a lot of people in the game, they'll be like, oh, wait for someone to come in the booth, maybe engage with them, maybe like they're looking for something, they're not really helping. I don't know. It's like a backseat approach. There's proactive sales and there's reactive sales, right? So give me your take on sales. And you said you were good at it in these merch booths, and like, what are your thoughts or tips on being good?
Well, I would say never, when someone walks into your booth, don't act like they owe you. They don't owe you, man. You have your stuff up, and if you are putting your stuff up in a booth, you want to sell the fucking shit. You're not just there to like display it like it's cool. If you're at a vintage event, you want to sell the shirts. So don't work with your people. Like if someone comes up and is really nice to you, I've seen it actively. People come up and be really nice to the person selling and then just be like, hey man, what's up? And it's like, dude, like if that was me, I'd walk the fuck out of your booth in 2 seconds, and I wouldn't buy anything, Drew, off the principle of that. And I really only do business with people I like. I will shout this dude out because internationally, I think he's one of the coolest people to deal with. The Vintage Ubeck. So Gerald, have you ever dealt with Gerald before?
I can't recall that name. No.
Okay, if you haven't, this is just an example, and I hope he appreciates me shouting him out. He's very respectful. He cares about the pieces that he sells, so it's not just like he knows about them. And for sales, if you know about your products too, Drew, that's it for me. Like, you don't have to love every band, but lately I've been seeing in the scene people putting prices on shit, and I'll be like, oh, dude, so like, how'd you get to that price? Like, that's if it's way off. Like, I kind of like, I know the thing, and I don't think they do. I'm like, how'd you get to that price? Oh, well, this is a cool band, and like they just go into this like springboard of use of information that has nothing to do with the product, and you just think like, I can't give this kid the price for this. Like, he just comped it on Grailed, and he's coming a little bit underneath what the comp on Grailed is. Like, he doesn't know shit about this product. So I would say it's impossible to know all your products.
Of course, yeah.
But like, at least be able to, the ones that you're putting these ultra huge prices on, if you don't know about them or know why the subject matter is this expensive, like, I'm wearing a Shonen Knife t-shirt I just got from Tanis. We'll go to them way later, like later or whatever, but it's contextual to this. I'm pretty sure there was only like 150 of these ever produced. So meaning like, that's rare, man. You know what I mean? They only produce these on like because they're a Japanese band, and they own that Kurt Cobain essentially like championed them over here to do like some opening tours because he really liked the band. So they only printed a certain amount of these in the United States, which denotes the fact that it's fucking hard to get. These shirts are hard to come by. There's my value, And I'm not going to charge a fucking price that's annoying too. Like, this is $3,000. It's like, why? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you want someone to buy it, like, that's my sales take on it, is just the idea of be kind to your people, because especially if they're giving you thousands of dollars. Like, I have just personal people that I sell to now because I really, I like to sell direct to collector. So, because I am one. So I'll go to them first. They get top priority. They pay the price.
Yeah.
They're super kind and nice to me. And they appreciate me. So those are the first people.
I think knowing your product and knowing your product's super important. And then also knowing, like, again, like you said, it's impossible to know all your product. If you have booth 1,000 pieces, you're not going to like know some history lesson on every piece.
No.
But at least if, especially if it's a high end piece, you want to have some info on it. But also, like you said, when people come into the booth, you want to make a connection with them, and you don't want to like judge someone by like their initial look, right? Because you could have some guy who comes in and you're like, this guy's not going to buy nothing. He's looking for a $5 shirt, when in reality, that could be the guy who's spending $1,000 on a shirt. And the only way to know that is to like take the time to make a connection with someone and have a conversation and treat everybody like they could be that $1,000 buyer, so that you open up the dialogue and like make a connection. I think that's super important in sales.
Well, they can think about it like this, y'all. Someone that comes in and spends $30 can eventually be your $1,000 purchaser, because over time, maybe this is their first time at a vintage show. They're walking in, and they might be a affluent-ish person, but might not look that way. So you're like, at first, they're not going to dive into a $1,000 t-shirt. Why would they? It makes no fucking sense. You know what I mean? If this is your first time, you might be overpaying, blah, 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 blah. But they buy a $30 t-shirt from you. They really like you. Okay, well, now you have something for $200 and they really love the subject matter. Maybe they buy that t-shirt. And then eventually you have this one-of-a-kind item and it's their favorite band. They're going to spend it. Like, dude, I love this industry. I'm going to call it an industry. I'm tired of this fucking community shit. It's cool.
I like that.
But we're an industry now. Like it's, there's different facets of it. There's different people in it that do different things. It's an industry. That's why Faded's more of a convention. That's like, it's great for selling, great for buying, great for learning. It's everything. But I got on a tangent, but yeah,
No,
this is,
I agree. Like you're talking about, and that speaks to like longevity. Like you should always be thinking long term. It's not about that singular day, maybe, or that moment in time with that one customer. It's like I've been in business for 20 years, so now I've known this for a long time.
20
I'm
years is
really
crazy,
starting
man.
to see. I'm starting to see like the goodwill that we've built over time, right? Like I could literally like take a back seat, go away for a year, keep my store running, and people will still come based on the work we've done over the last 20 years, right? And that's a beautiful thing. And that's the same with like building your customer base and like and nurturing that, because you do, like, even during the pandemic when me and Kirby were doing lives, right? Like we
I
had
love
a
Kirby,
core,
man. Love him.
yeah,
He's a
we
great
had
guy.
a core base of customers that were so fucking loyal. It was crazy. Like every week we would be like sending shirts to the same group of people. And that was so amazing to see how rad and loyal these people were. So yeah, shout out
It's funny you mentioned
those
that. We can go
people.
into that and talk about sales. Is that's what Faded show, like our Whatnot show, dude. It's probably 15 elite buyers, and then a lot of great casual buyers that just like to watch us. And I'm not an average show. Like, I'm entertaining. I'm a smart ass. I like comedy. I grew up loving stand-up comedians like George Carlin, Richard Pryor, blah blah blah. Even some new ones, some really great new ones. But I am a smart ass. Like, I troll people. I goof around. Like, it's about entertainment when you're at that level of doing it six
Yeah,
times a
totally.
week, because if not, it's just, oh, another shirt, oh, another shirt. And like, you'll have dedicated people that just want to buy, but I have people now on Whatnot that just want to fucking laugh, which is cool. And they keep tuning in, and the numbers get bigger because of that. That's
Yeah,
important too, for sure.
hell yeah, love that. So we'll get into Faded next here. I just want to finish up this conversation about like your time on the road. We kind of jumped into sales, but do you have any cool stories from being the merch dude on tour, or any cool tour stories you could share?
Pretty goofy ones. Like, I was in Canada one time and I sold merch for the entire night with my shirt off. I was so drunk, dude. I was just like, and I ended up. This is a funny one. So the same night, after the gig, I went on a small tour with a band that I really loved when I was really young. So it was rad to tour with them and be like cool with them and stuff like that. They were a band called Bury Your Dead. So hardcore band or whatever. So I'm playing fucking CeeLo in the parking lot with them after the gig. We're drinking out of like fucking not 40s, but like the, not nips, but like the bigger flask type of whiskeys and
Yeah.
stuff. Dude, I guess I was so drunk that I don't remember this, but I checked into the hotel with like my shirt off, my shoes off, like basically like in my underwear, and like the woman like let us stay there, dude. I don't know why she didn't just
I'm
say
surprised.
like,
They're not like,
see
we
ya,
don't serve
dude.
homeless here.
Yeah, that's what I mean, And I'm a heavily, if anybody meets me, I'm a heavily tattooed person. So I have like a full front, a full back, like I definitely look like, don't look like Leave It to Beaver by any stretch of the imagination. But that was a funny tour story. I mean, it's usually just about me. Like, I partied a lot in my 20s, so it's about like, party stories and crazy stuff. But
Life on the road, man. Life on the road.
But it. I mean, the cool part is, and why it was so easy to come from music to here, is it's the same fucking people. It's like this. It's half of them are drummers or musicians half the year, and then this is their side gig to make some extra money while they're off to, like Frank, my friend Frank, FTTW, whatever the hell his fucking handle is. He
Yeah. No,
he
we all
does
know
that
Frank.
too.
Shout out Frank. Yeah.
But he does that too,
And he's back on tour now, right? After
Yeah. I mean,
after COVID, he's doing his thing.
Yeah, certain people can never let that go. Like, I know some road dog people that like it's their identity, and I respect that about them. It wasn't mine. Like, I love now taking trips for vintage via plane, via certain types of comforts that like I don't want to sleep in a van anymore, or my back's killing me because I've literally driven like 13 hours, and that type of shit. Just like getting home at like 4 or 5 a.m. Like, it's not my thing anymore. 33 now.
Yeah.
So.
I interrupt this episode to bring you a very special announcement. If you are enjoying what you're hearing, if you are having a good time, if you are liking hearing Joe talk all the shit, then you need to go jump on the Patreon right now for your free 7-day trial. Click the link down below, get on there, or join right here on YouTube. Without further ado, let's get back to the episode.
I don't know if I'd be doing much of sleeping in the car anymore. Although hitting the road in any capacity is still, I think everybody could agree that it's like one of the best things. Just like hitting the road on a trip, on an adventure. It's an
You need
amazing
it.
feeling.
It's inspiring a lot of times. I don't know if this happens to you, but it happens to me. Specifically in my other business, is I get inspired by my travels. Like I meet the right person. You know, Chloe and I travel a lot together now. We eat at this crazy restaurant, or we go to this crazy store that like we're like, holy shit! Like maybe we should take inspiration to model stuff. Or you know, we see a sign out on the street that like inspires us to like work on our graphic art stuff that we do too and shit. So it's like you need to travel. If I'll tell that to anybody,
You do,
by
yeah.
any means, human beings need to travel, because if you stay in this little bubble or your hometown your whole fucking life, you'll become closed-minded. You won't be open to the world, like, and you'll I guess funny word, curate your mind to think only in that specific way, as opposed to being open to everything. I try to be open to everything, all the time.
Yeah, I agree. And I there's some I've read too, like even changing the way you drive to work. We drive to work the same, like everyone. I mean, if you have a job, you
Good
drive to
way.
work, or say you're driving to the bins, like the same route every day. Just like change the route and see something different opens up different pathways in your brain. And I've read about this. And it's the same theory when you're traveling. You're seeing different things. You're being inspired. You're starting to think differently. You're seeing how people in different places think differently. Because we get, like you say, boxed in, pigeonholed into like this thinking that the way it is here in our bubble is the way it is everywhere, maybe, when in reality,
Exactly.
like the whole world's thinking a different way. And then when you start to see that, it really opens you up. And I want to like take my family like around the world for a year and like literally have my kids like live with certain people to like feel that at a young age, so that they can like, because we went to school in the States and
Yeah.
Canada, right? So I
Vermont,
got to see
right?
like,
Were you
yeah,
Vermont? Oh, yeah.
Vermont. So that was a big eye opener. Just that little thing of being in a Canadian school and then being in American school, like you realize, holy shit, there's a lot more to it out there than what we thought. And so
Yeah,
I think you're right. People need to travel.
Yeah, a lot of what I do too, and I do donate from time to time. I'll do auctions to donate for human. A lot of my shit has to do with like human rights, respect for others. I'm very, anti-racism, anti-homophobia, whatever. But it's because I've been out there and met these people and been around these type of people, and I've realized like we're all the fucking same, dude. No matter where you come from, we all fucking bleed, have emotions, feel things, blah blah blah. But that helps in vintage too. Think about it like that. Like if someone, we'll go right back to the sales. If someone walks into your booth and you prejudge them, the sale's over, dude. Right before that happens, like because you've already made up your mind, like this person's either not going to buy anything or whatever, or it could go the opposite way. They look like they got a lot of money, and then you're jumping over to them and scaring them away. They're like, I don't want to fucking talk. Like this guy just wants to take my money. Like I'm good with this guy. So treat everybody the same exact way, and I think you'll be happy with the results. I mean, it's happened to me.
I love that.
Far. Yeah.
One time I was my buddy Pete, who was actually the last episode, my homeboy Pete that I went on that trip with. He was
the guy with the beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was far out, man. That dude was cool. I was watching some of that.
Pete's rad, and he's like my childhood best bud. Grew up skateboarding together. We've been friends our whole lives. He came to Rose Bowl. He's been a few times, and he came one time and was hanging out, and I was like having like kind of a grumpy, shitty day.
We all have.
He said something to me. Yeah, for sure. He said something. He's like, I forget exactly what the context was, but he was like, dude, like you have one day. Like, this is it. Like the Rose Bowl's one day a month. Like you have this moment now to like do your thing, and then it's over. Like you can make it awesome, or you can fucking be in a grumpy, shitty mood and it'll suck. And I was like, fuck. And I always think about that now whenever I have these events or whatever going on, or just in any day situation, because you're like, you have to choose to be like, I'm going to make this great, I'm going to make this good, I'm going to give this my full attention, give everyone the love they deserve, and that is a choice, and go out there and fucking have fun, make people's day, make people happy. And it like that one thing I think about all the time, shout out Pete again, he just like, it was a simple thing he said, but it's like one of those epiphany moments where I was like, fuck, you gotta make that choice, you know?
Yeah, I actually it's funny you said that. I've been super into that new show, The Bear. Well, it's the second season of it. Have you heard of this show, the restaurant show?
No.
You really should watch it. It's probably one of the most fantastic shows I've seen in years and years. But there was just an episode on it where the line of this restaurant that the dude was staging at was every second counts. And that's what they talked a lot about, of like, people are like, because in these higher end restaurants, Drew, these people they dedicate their whole life to it. Like it's every second of the day is like, and the guy was like, why do you work so hard? Like, why do you, because he said, because they come here. So like we make their day when they come here, like, and giving back in that way, and understanding that, like you said, that one smile or one like, how you doing, man? I'm Joe, or I'm Drew. Like, it's super nice to meet you. Thanks for shopping the booth or whatever. They're going to leave that booth and be like, wow, man, I really like that guy. Like, I want to follow him, or I want to, next time I didn't buy anything this time, but next time, if I do have money, that's the first booth I'm going to, because I want to get something from it. Like, I have customers that I like them and they like me, and they buy from me because that's it. They'll pay the extra couple bucks that they won't give somebody else because I respect them. I look them in the eye, I shake their hands if I buy from them in person. When I was at Tanis's, like, I'm telling them all the time, like, Barbara and Bill, like, thank you for all this hard work you put in and this art you created, because kids now my age are like so appreciative of it, and they spend days and nights trying to find these designs that you created. So they were super humbled by it. You know what I mean? And that's full circle on it. Like, that's how you should. And I'm not no fucking motivational guy that's like, get out there, get strong. Like, I'm not going there with it. But because that's too much pressure to be that type of person. I do yoga every day, but I'm not like a yogi guy or any. I'm like peace, love, harmony. But I am a self-respect, like a respectful person in the fact of I respect other people, and I try my best to be polite when I can be. Don't be impolite for no fucking reason. No one likes that shit.
Yeah. I love it. It's very easy. It's very easy, and it's very important, and it can simply make somebody's day. And like you said, like, you're telling that person how important their work was to a generation. And like, a lot of people might think like they already know that, right? They already know that, they already understand that, but really they might not. They might not know, and
they didn't. I don't think.
Yeah, and who doesn't want to fucking hear that, even if they already knew that anyway, right? You're like, that's and I think about that a lot. I've done a lot of like deep work in the last few years, and I've gone back sort of into my life and looked at people that like maybe I didn't end well with, or like there was things left unsaid, or there wasn't closure. And I've literally gone back and been like, yo, I just want to reach out. Like, that thing we did back in the day was super important to me, and I don't know if I ever like told you how much it meant to me, and shit like that, where you're like, it makes, I mean, obviously it was more for me to like let them know that I appreciated what was going on. And you don't, when you're young, you definitely don't think about that shit a lot. You're like,
yeah. Well, I want to say first and foremost, Drew, that's amazing, because I do similar shit like that too. I hate to burn a bridge. I don't need people to like me by any means, but I don't want someone to dislike me by an action that I made towards them, if that makes sense. So it's good that you reflected on that. And it's great to talk about this, because these fucking young, pretentious nerds that think that when you're nice to them, oh, look at this guy. You know what I mean? Like, what a loser. You know what I mean? That attitude I don't want to blame the young kids like it's all young kids that do this shit, but because there's plenty of older folks that do it. But that shit's got to go, dude. You want change in the world, in the community. It starts with fucking you. The people who preach that shit all the time and then are rude to like the person at Starbucks or whatever, you're the problem, man. Like you don't even look in the mirror. Like it's you that's the
Yeah.
problem sometimes. Like it's not everybody else, So, our community, our industry sometimes has people too that say really derogatory things to other people and stuff, and then they act like they are entitled to say that or blah blah blah, and it's like, no, you're not, man. And the thing about the world now is we don't like sit back and take that shit. Like if you say, homophobic things, derogatory things to human beings, you're going to be dealt with because we don't want it anymore. It's over, dude. Like I don't care enough to continue to spread that negativity into the world. It's got to go. Got to go, Drew. So it's good that
There you go, man.
It makes me feel good because I'm the same way as you, where I go back sometimes if I haven't even talked to somebody in a while and say like, hey, man, just hope everything's going well. Because you grow apart. There's nothing you can do, Drew. We just grow apart from people.
Of course.
There's too many people in the world. Your interests aren't the same. I have plenty of friends that I haven't seen in years just because it doesn't work anymore. But you should let them know that you're still thinking about them and they impact you in that way.
Yeah, and like there's circumstances that happen that we are maybe out of our control, and we leave things in a weird way or whatever it is. But I think this is a good topic, and I just want to give a little challenge out there to everybody. Like if there's something in your past that you still, because most of those things that we think it's like just helping the person we're going to go tell, but in reality, it's closure that like we need. Right. So if you have something that's unclosed in your own brain, it's actually affecting you long term because you're still thinking about it. You know that it wasn't left right. Like go out there, get closure, tell someone that something was important or you're sorry for something that happened or whatever it is. It really will change like how, it'll let you be free from that to move forward. So,
yeah. Honesty, dude, was always my policy because I hate like things weighing on me. You know what I mean? I like telling people. I tell people the way it is, but I'm not like mean. Like I'm not just like gonna make fun of you or whatever. But I'm gonna be honest with you and look at you and say like this is. And I think people respect that about like don't lie or be untruthful. Tell people, be real with people. Real, like we say nowadays. But that's a cool thing to reflect on. I like this topic because I feel like, we're off the fucking t-shirts for a second or the clothing,
Yeah, well, that's how this show goes. You never know what topic we're going to stumble upon randomly. And that's where we ended up.
Well, that's how I started Coffee and J's, that's how I started my own
so
podcast.
Let's talk about Coffee and J's. So yeah, you guys kind of took a break and you came back recently or did you never take a break?
We never fully took a break. What happened is I met Jeremy because he was doing all these open lives and I had no idea about this whole scene or vintage thing on the internet. And I remember being super fucking nervous the first time I got on there and I'm like, holy shit, like everyone's watching me. At that point, I think he had like 20 viewers, you know what I mean? Like I've played in front of thousands of people. What do I care? So, So I hopped in. We became buddies right away. Like I liked the dude. Like he was cool. And then Jacob popped in one morning with Jeremy and I, because Jeremy and I started doing like these morning talks where like we wouldn't really sell a bunch of stuff. We would just like I'd sell like 2 or 3 things and we'd shoot the shit for an hour. Jacob popped in, who I know Jacob, Single Stitch Club, who's like, I'm telling you, man, that dude too is just a wholesome, nice, a great person. Like he is a fucking hard worker and, became a good friend of mine. But we had these really unreal conversations. We started with like party stories and our numbers started to grow. Like more people would stay in the live for longer and enjoy what we had to say and participate in the comment section and stuff like that. So we met and we're like, dude, pandemic's still like full swing. Like we don't really have jobs. Like, do you want to just try to do this every day? And they were like, yeah. Like for them and me, it became therapy during a really tough time in my life where I had a bunch of kind of traumatic stuff happen to me during the pandemic that I just don't want to go into. But and essentially it helped me build. And the person who really pushed me to even do those things in the first place is Chloe, who I think, who she hit it off with? Your dad really liked her a lot. They had really good conversations that faded. So she was basically like, I had all this stuff in my closet, and she motivated me to be like, hey man, I shouldn't say hey man, but hey Joe, I think you should I think you should share some of this stuff with people. Like, I think you should sell it and like show people what you have. And I love you, so I think you should like I think people would like hearing what you have to say. So she pushed me into it, and that's how we met Jeremy. And then we did one episode a day for 2 hours. It was 10 to 12, 5 days a week for almost an entire year. So think about the amount of talking, dude, that happened. We'd bring on new guests. We do games. We do, when blind bid thing was cool for a little while, or like popular for a little while, we do the blind bid thing on Fridays to sell. It became this like weird punk rock, like to me it was punk rock, like subculture, community, whatever, where we were making, people would reach out to me and be like, thank you for doing this. I've been going through a lot. I had a family member just die. I'm having a really hard time, and you make my day a little bit better. And like, dude, to me, that was all I fucking needed. Like, I don't give a shit about, it's not a popularity contest to me. I don't give a fuck about how many people think I'm cool. To me, that type of stuff is all I needed. So that really kept me going, and Jeremy and Jacob, that kept us going during it. So it was cool, man. It was fun. Now we do it like once a week.
That's awesome. I remember coming on during that pandemic period, having a great chat with you guys, and I tuned in, quite often, and it was it's cool. It's amazing that you guys were able to do it so consistently for so long. Like, that's a big commitment,
Yeah, we were, and the thing I think people liked about us is how authentic we were. We wanted to be there because we wanted to be there. No one made us do that.
Yeah.
That wasn't like we weren't fueled by some company that's like, we need you to do the show. No, dude, this was all, I made sacrifices around my life to be like, Coffee and J's 10 to 12, have to do it. I don't care. Like, I said no to friends, and I can't go out too late tonight because I gotta do the show in the morning and be up and do it. And I have done it hungover, don't get me wrong, but
yeah, no, that's really cool. And those are like good friends that were made through the industry, and that you never had probably met until like later, after sort of hanging with them online a bunch, right?
Yeah. We neglect that too, Drew. You walk by somebody every day that you probably have something in common with. I'm not telling you to talk about to everybody on earth, but if someone sits next to you, hypothetically at a bar, and they start being nice to you, if you're having your own private conversation, I understand that, and just say, hey, nice to meet you, and go back to what you're doing. But don't be like, you know what I mean? Because you might be sitting next to the fucking CEO of Goodwill or whatever, or whatever vintage thing you're doing. In any way, or you might be sitting next to someone that can help impact your life positively, and you don't even know it. So start fucking being cool, man. It's not that hard, everybody. It's super easy.
Yeah, and I also believe that I totally agree with that. And again, this is something that I have to continually remind myself, because I don't always take advantage of that mentality, and I think it's important, because not even just someone that might help your industry or your business, but someone that might just become your good friend, like on any level. And in today's world, I notice like mental health, anxiety, all these things are like so rampant, right? Because we're failing to like get out there with people and make those connections, be authentic with people. And it's a muscle, right? Like, it's a tool, it's a muscle to be able to have a random, authentic conversation with someone. And if you don't use it, you fucking lose it. You're obviously great at it, but a lot of people aren't, and that's where those social anxieties come from. So people will often have stories about themselves and say like, I'm just not a good people person. I'm just not good at that. I'm just not good at it. Yeah. No. Well, how do you fucking become good at it? You got to practice it, just like anything, like a sport, You're
a snowboarder. Do you think you were good at snowboarding? Like, you were like an Olympics or whatever, like professional snowboarder off the bat? No. Time, effort, a lot of fucking commitment. made you what you are, and that makes anybody what they are. Like the fact that you think you're just going to walk in and be the most social butterfly in the room. You know, I've been nervous. I'm nervous sometimes in social situations. It's not easy meeting,
Totally.
especially influential people that you admire. Like I've had a great, like, real quick story. I became really friendly, and I consider him a friend with Sean Taggart. So did all the Cro-Mag stuff, all the Jerky Boy stuff. You met Sean, I think, at
Yeah,
Faded.
that was awesome.
He was in my favorite documentary of all time, American Hardcore. He is the nicest, sweetest dude on earth, and he, I think, respects me because I respect him. And you know, I put a showcase through Faded on his work that I think a lot of people forgot about. You know what I mean? So I've had moments where I'm sitting there, and this Tannis Root one was one, and I'm like, holy fucking shit, dude! Like how the fuck did I get here? Like, how did I get this opportunity? It was from talking to people and being kind to other people. That's the full circle, dude. You don't just get it. There's very few people in life that just get it from being this really talented person that everyone wants to be around. Most people get it from hard work, dedication, and really showing the world, like, I want to be here. Like, I care about this. This is my thing. So yeah, dude, I love these conversations, man. I kill for this shit.
So I just think if you're out there and you're like, I can't be that person, you got to change that story for yourself, and you gotta just practice it. Take little baby steps, you know, and like go have a random conversation with somebody on the street, and then have another one, and eventually it becomes a normal thing, and you're not nervous anymore. Just like me doing the show, or say you were nervous for the Coffee Jays, it's like that those nerves go away, and then you're able to take on a bigger thing, you know, and then you're able to be in front of more people, and that's the only way to do it. It's just practice.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why this scene's cool too, in this industry, whatever. We're all pretty much like-minded. We all like shirts or clothing or the subculture behind them. Like, we're not, it's easy. Like, we all have shit in common. So if you're at a vintage event, walk the fuck up to me, or walk up to Drew and say, you don't have to, like, you know, maybe we're busy, I can't talk to you forever, but I would love to say, you know, hey man, super nice to meet you. Thank you for coming and spending your time here and stuff like that. Don't be like shy, like, you know, I can't talk to this dude or whatever, or maybe, you know, he's going to be mean to me. I do that for people like who I admire. I walk up to them and I say, hey, like, I ended up standing next to it at Brimfield. Do you know, what the fuck is his name? I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but did you ever see The Hateful Eight, the movie The Hateful Eight?
Yeah.
Or Justified? I think his name's Tim. He's the dude at the end that makes it all the way to the end, the southern dude with the big smile or whatever.
Okay.
I forget. Okay, whatever.
But...
Guy's standing next to me at fucking Brimfield, and like, I'm like, holy shit! Like, I love this guy's movies. Like, he's really cool. And I know you don't really want to approach a celebrity and be like, you know what I mean? But like, he's standing next to me, and I'm like, I'm fucking gonna say what's up. I'm gonna be, hey man, like, I loved how you know, how you were in Hateful Eight. It was awesome. And he's like, oh, I'm like, what was it like to work with Tarantino? You know, what was it like to work with Tarantino? He's like, everything you would imagine, man. Super, you know. And then we got to talking for like 2 minutes, and I was asking him why he was there. He owns like a gin company, and he also likes to do antiquing, and he lives in LA or whatever, or New Jersey. Dude, I had a 2-minute conversation with quote unquote celebrity or actor or whatever, and it made my day a little bit, and it wouldn't have happened if I didn't just say, hey dude, what's going on? Approach these people like humans. I will tell you, if you ever meet a celebrity or someone that you don't approach them like, oh, I love you, because they'll get scared away too. They're humans. They want you to be like, hey, I'm Joe. You know, it's super nice to meet.
Normal conversation, like, which they probably are
don't have
drawn to. They don't have a lot of, because most people will just be freaked out to have that normal conversation. So it's like they probably are excited to just have niceties with someone, you know?
Yeah, it's always like, can I have an autograph? Can I have a picture? Can I? When those people feel like all you want is something from them, they're going to respond negatively to that. When you act as though you can learn something from them, of being like, you know, I'm just going to say hello to this person, and I'm going to say thank you for, you know, your contribution to art or music or you know, the acting world. They're going to be like, a nice guy. You know, I'm gonna sit and talk to him for a minute. Whereas most of the time they just be like, I can't. I'm sorry, man. I gotta go. You know. So
Yeah.
that's how you're
Totally.
supposed to, like, it's human relations is one thing that we don't, like you said, in this anxiety world, Drew, it's like super fucking lacking, and it scares the shit out of me for the long term. Like, I don't want to sound like an old man, like, that is losing touch, you know, but it
Just the
is
state
getting
of
worse.
humanity. Yeah, it is for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, we've come to the end of the free 45-minute version. As you know now, if you want to get the full rest of the 2 hours, you got to jump on the Patreon for a free 7-day trial. You don't have to pay anything. Jump on the Patreon, free 7-day trial. And after that, if you want to stay on, it's only $5 a month. If you want to join here on YouTube, there's no free trial, but you can do that as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks, Joe, for coming on. I loved recording this episode. I think it's just has a great flow to it. I had a good conversation. I appreciated it. You know, sometimes these episodes are a bit like tricky with flow, but this one was not at all. We didn't even get to a few of the points that I wanted to talk about just because we were going where it went, letting it be organic, and that's the best way to run these episodes. Again, if you want to support the show and don't want to jump on the Patreon, which you should, do it now. Click down below, get on the Patreon. Also, please like this video regardless. Click the like button. And you can shop FSandFrankVintage.com, 30% off, code VTG and stuff. That's it. Another episode coming to you Wednesday, every Wednesday. Make sure you follow the channel. Make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you jump on Drew Heifetz's Instagram account and follow along. Thank you all. I love you. See you on the next one.